Most people think being tired is normal. You wake up tired, you go through the day tired, you finish the day exhausted, and you tell yourself, it's just life, it's stress. I didn't sleep enough. But here's the truth. Constant fatigue is not normal. It may be common, but it is not normal. Your body is not designed to feel drained all the time. It is designed to produce energy, to recover, to stay stable. So when energy is constantly low, something is wrong. Not necessarily something serious, but something important. And the biggest mistake people make is this. They adapt to fatigue, they normalize it, they stop questioning it, and once that happens, the real cause stays hidden. The first hidden cause is simple. Your body is not recovering. Not because you don't sleep, but because your sleep is not effective. You can sleep 7 to 8 hours and still feel exhausted. Because sleep is not just about time, it's about quality. Deep sleep, recovery phases, hormonal balance, and many people never reach that state because of stress, because of screen exposure, because the brain never fully raslobliates, so the body stays active even during sleep. Another sign is waking up tired, not refreshed, not energized, just continuing the fatigue. This is a strong signal because real rest should restore energy. If it doesn't, the system is not recovering. The second major cause is deficiency, not extreme deficiency, but low levels, enough to affect function, but not enough to cause obvious symptoms. This is very common, especially with vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin B12. These nutrients are critical for energy, for the nervous system, for cellular function, and when they are low, everything slows down, energy production decreases, mental clarity drops, recovery becomes weaker. But here's the problem. The symptoms are subtle: fatigue, low motivation, brain fog, and people don't see this as a deficiency. They see it as lifestyle, as personality, as normal tiredness, and that is why it remains untreated. The third cause is something most people underestimate: chronic stress, not the obvious kind, not panic, not crisis, but constant background pressure, the kind you live with every day. Deadlines, responsibilities, noise, information, thinking all the time, never fully disconnecting, and the body adapts. It keeps going, it pushes through, but internally, it never relaxes. The nervous system stays activated, even when you sit, even when you rest, even when you sleep. This is what drains energy the most, not activity, but tension. Because energy is not only used for movement, it is used to maintain stability, to keep systems balanced, and when the body is constantly in a ready state, it consumes energy nonstop. Another important detail: you may not feel stressed because you are used to it. It becomes your normal state, but your body still reacts. Heart rate slightly elevated, breathing shallow, muscles tight, mind always active, and over time, this creates fatigue, not sudden, but gradual. A slow decline in energy. That feels like life, but it's not life, it's overload. The fifth reason is the most dangerous, because it feels normal. Your body adapts to low energy. At first, fatigue feels unusual. You notice it, you question it, but over time, you adjust. You reduce activity, you move slower, you expect less from yourself, and the body follows. It lowers output, it conserves energy, and now, low energy becomes your baseline. This is where most people get stuck, because they no longer see the problem, they live inside it. Another important effect: motivation drops. Not because of personality, but because energy drives motivation. Low energy, sauce, low drive, and this creates a loop. Less energy, less activity, even less energy, and the system stabilizes at a lower level. Without pain, without clear warning, just a quieter, slower version of you. And that is why it's dangerous, because nothing feels wrong enough to change, but everything is below optimal. The fourth reason is something people rarely consider. Your body may be losing energy instead of using it efficiently. Energy is not only about how much you have, it's about how you use it. And many people have leaks in their system, small inefficiencies that add up. For example, poor breathing, shallow breathing reduces oxygen delivery, less oxygen harms less energy production. Another example: irregular eating, skipping meals, eating at random times. This creates instability in blood sugar, and that leads to energy crashes. Another factor is posture. Yes, posture. If the body is tense, if muscles are constantly engaged, energy is wasted even at rest. Another important point is overthinking. Mental activity consumes energy, and constant thinking, constant internal dialogue drains resources, even if you are physically inactive. So a person may say, I didn't do much today, but I'm exhausted. And that is real, because the energy was used internally, not visibly. And the more these small inefficiencies accumulate, the more fatigue becomes constant. Most people try to fix fatigue the same way. They rest, sleep more, take a break, do less, and sometimes it helps, but often it doesn't. Because rest only works when recovery systems are working. If your body is not recovering properly, more rest will not solve the problem. You can sleep longer, but still wake up tired. You can reduce workload, but still feel drained. And this confuses people, because logically, rest should fix fatigue. But fatigue is not always caused by lack of rest. It is often caused by dysfunction, sleep that is not deep, nervous system that is not relaxing, nutrients that are missing, energy systems that are not working efficiently, and when these systems are off, rest becomes passive, not restorative. Another important point, too much inactivity can actually make fatigue worse, because the body needs movement to regulate itself. Circulation, oxygen flow, hormonal balance, all depend on activity. So when you reduce activity too much, you remove stimulation, and the system slows down even more. This creates a paradox. You feel tired, so you do less. But doing less makes you more tired, and that loop continues. Even with solutions, like most people stay in fatigue, not because they can't change, but because they stop too early. They try something for a few days, maybe a week, and when results are not dramatic, and they quit. But the body doesn't work instantly, it adjusts gradually. Another problem is expectations. People expect to feel completely different quickly, but real recovery is progressive. Subtle at first, better sleep, slightly more energy, clearer thinking. And if you don't notice these small improvements, you think nothing is happening. Another issue is inconsistency, starting, stopping, changing approach, never allowing the system to stabilize, and stability is what creates results. Another key point, people often look for one solution, one vitamin, one trick, one method. But fatigue is rarely one-dimensional. It is a combination of factors, and it needs a combined approach. And until that happens, the cycle continues. Most people don't realize what constant fatigue is taking from them, because it doesn't stop life completely. You still wake up, you still work, you still function, but not fully. And that's the problem, because fatigue doesn't remove your life, it reduces it. You think slower, you react slower, you feel less motivation, less excitement, less drive, and over time, this becomes your identity. You start saying, I'm just not that energetic. I don't have the same drive. I get tired easily. But that's not who you are. That's your current state, and states can change, but only if you recognize them. Another important effect, decision-making becomes weaker. When energy is low, the brain avoids effort. It chooses easy, not effective. And this affects everything, work, health, relationships, because energy is not just physical. It is the foundation of action. Without energy, you don't move forward. You maintain, you survive, but you don't grow. And most people don't notice this shift because it happens slowly, quietly, day by day, until one day, low energy feels normal. There is always a turning point. Not a big one, not dramatic, but real. A moment where things could start improving. But most people don't see it because it doesn't feel like change. It feels like a small decision. Going to sleep earlier, going for a short walk, taking something consistently, breathing slower, reducing stimulation. These actions seem too simple, too small, too insignificant, so they are ignored because people look for something bigger, something faster, something more powerful. But the body doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to repetition. And the turning point is always this. When you stop looking for big changes and start doing small things consistently, that's when the system begins to shift. Energy starts to stabilize. Recovery improves, clarity returns. But this process is quiet. There is no dramatic moment, no instant transformation, just gradual improvement. And because it's gradual, many people don't trust it. They stop, they interrupt the process, and they return to the same state. The turning point was there, but it didn't look important enough, and that is why it was missed. Energy does not come back from one big action. It comes from small, consistent changes, repeated daily. The first change is rhythm, going to sleep at the same time, waking up at the same time. This stabilizes the nervous system. The body starts to predict, and when it predicts, it works more efficiently. The second change is light, exposure to natural light, especially in the morning. This resets internal clocks, improves alertness, improves sleep later. The third change is movement. Not intense, not exhausting, but regular. Walking, stretching, light activity. This activates circulation, improves oxygen delivery, signals the body to stay active. Another important point is breathing. Slow, deep breathing. Not consciously all the time, but becoming aware. Because breathing affects the nervous system directly. And one more thing, consistency matters more than intensity. Small changes done daily are stronger than big changes done occasionally, because the body adapts to patterns, not to extremes. There comes a moment when you realize something important. You were not just tired. You were running below your potential for days, for months, maybe for years. And the hardest part is this. You didn't notice when it started because it didn't hit suddenly. It slowly reduced your energy, step by step, until low energy felt normal. And once something feels normal, you stop questioning it. But that realization changes everything, because now you see the difference between functioning and feeling alive. The biggest change does not come from one action. It comes from a shift in perspective, from ignoring signals to observing them, from reacting late to acting early, from waiting for strong symptoms to noticing small ones. This shift is simple, but powerful, because now you are not guessing. You are understanding. And when you understand your body, you stop fighting it. You start working with it. And that is where real change begins. There's a difference most people forget. Functioning and living. Functioning is doing what you have to do, going through the day, completing tasks, surviving. Living is different. Energy, clarity, engagement, presence, and fatigue slowly moves you from living to functioning. So slowly you don't notice the transition until one day, you realize you're just getting through the day. And that realization matters because it shows you where you are and where you can return. You don't need a big moment to change. You don't need extreme fatigue. You don't need a crisis. The change starts earlier in small actions, in daily patterns, in awareness, because the body responds to what you repeat, not to what you do once. And the truth is simple. The version of you with more energy already exists, not somewhere far, but close, very close. And the only difference is what you do consistently, because sometimes the line between feeling exhausted and feeling fully alive is not a big change. It's a small one, done every day. Even when you felt exhausted, your body kept working, trying to compensate, trying to adapt, trying to keep you going. It adjusted, it slowed down processes, it conserved energy, it reduced output, not to harm you, but to protect you, because your body always works for you. Not against you, but adaptation has limits. It can carry you only so far, and when those limits are reached, symptoms increase, not suddenly, but gradually. And that is where awareness becomes critical, because the body doesn't fail without warning, it adjusts first, and those adjustments are your signal.